prophecies and the fulfillments regarding the lampstands in the Bible. There are prophecies regarding lampstands in the Old Testament and the New Testament. And the reality of these prophecies must appear when the time comes, correct? Let us first take a look at the Old Testament in order to find out how the reality of these prophecies appeared. At the time of the Old Testament, Moses built a tabernacle on earth according to what he saw in heaven. However, the tabernacle that was built at the time of Moses was only a copy and a shadow of the reality itself. Thus, I believe that the reality of this shadow had to appear at an appointed time. This content is described in detail in Hebrews chapter 9, verses 9 and 10. It says that the tabernacle was an illustration, meaning it is figurative for the present time. If the tabernacle itself is something figurative, things that were inside of the tabernacle must be figurative too, right? But as it says, climb until the time of the new order. When the time of the new order comes, the realities of the tabernacle and the lampstand will appear, correct? If this is true, then what do you think was the reality of the lampstand that appeared when the time of the new order came, meaning at the time of the first coming of Jesus? We can find the answer to this in John chapter 5, verse 35. Let us read it together. John was a lamp that burned and gave light, and you chose for a time to enjoy his light. As you have just read, at the time of the first coming, the time of the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecies, Jesus pointed to John the Baptist, who came before him and said, John was a lamp that burned and gave light. Therefore, the reality of the lamp and the lampstand mentioned in the prophecies of the Old Testament was none other than John the Baptist, who appeared at the time of the first coming.
Jesus siya may lampstand.
Then why was John the Baptist called a lamp or a lampstand? It is because the spirits of heaven, which were the true reality of the seven lamps, worked with John the Baptist. That is why John the Baptist was described as a lamp. And just as the lampstand in the tabernacle of Moses' time was only tended to when there was no light, from evening until dawn, John the Baptist's work was to shine on the darkened hearts and souls of the people with the light of the Word, but only until the work of Jesus, the true light, came. The light of John the Baptist was only to shine for a time. The true light that people were supposed to meet was Jesus, who brought the great testimony. Therefore, I hope everyone can perceive at this time that the Jews who were carrying out their lives of faith 2,000 years ago had to find and go to Jesus through the work of the lamp of John the Baptist in order to attain salvation. But such work of the lamp did not only take place at the time of the first coming. We must know that it takes place once again at the time of Revelation, the time of the second coming. It says in Revelation chapter 1, verse 20, what you saw is the seven stars and the seven golden lampstands. The seven golden lampstands mentioned here are referring to the golden lampstands that we have been discussing so far. And the seven stars do not refer to actual stars in the sky, but they refer to the seven messengers of the seven churches of God. It also says that the seven golden lampstands are the seven churches. And we can see from this that at the time of the second coming, at the time of the fulfillment of Revelation, it is prophesied that seven messengers of seven churches will appear to do the work of the lamp, just as John the Baptist did the work of the lamp at the time of the first coming. So these seven messengers will be called the seven golden lampstands when they appear at the time of the second coming, because they will work with the seven spirits. But their role is to only work for a time, from evening until morning, meaning their light. And what is truly important for us to perceive is the true light, the word of Jesus at the second coming, which happens after the seven messengers. Just as people at the time, a blind person is someone who cannot see, a person who is deaf is someone who cannot hear. But what we are trying to learn about at this time is the figurative lamp that appear in the book of prophecies.
Those who see the word but
See the
cannot
meaning of
understand
the spiritual blind
the
and
word.
deaf. In Revelation chapter 3, verses 17 and 18, it says that the messenger, the pastor of the church of Laodicea, does not realize that he is blind, although he is. He is blind, so he cannot see, right? However, how can he not know the fact that he is blind if he truly were physically blind? Therefore, we can see that the pastor mentioned here is spiritually blind, meaning he cannot see spiritually. Furthermore, at the time of the first coming, Jesus said in Matthew chapter 13, verse 9, regarding the kingdom of heaven, he who has ears, let him hear. If he is referring to the people who have physical ears, they should all be able to hear. So why would he say it in such a way? The ears mentioned here refer to spiritual ears, ears that can hear spiritual things. Thus, I hope we can perceive that a person who is spiritually deaf is someone who does not have spiritual ears and who cannot hear spiritual things. If this is true, who are the realities of the spiritual blind and deaf? This content is explained in detail in Isaiah chapter 42, verses 18 to 20. God said, "Who is blind and who is deaf?" and said that they are none other than God's servants. A servant of God refers to the servant of the Lord, meaning a pastor, right? God prophesied that his servants will become blind and deaf when the time comes. If this is true, then let us find out why God's servants become blind and deaf by reading together Isaiah chapter 20. Or if you give the scroll to someone who cannot read and say, "Read this, please," he will answer, "I don't know how to read." The Lord says to the seers, therefore, God is letting us know through these words that the people who were truly blind were the pastors during that time. The physically blind people of the world cannot see objects in front of their eyes. But what is it that these pastors cannot see? As it says, this whole vision is nothing but words sealed in a scroll. What these pastors could not see was the vision, meaning the words of prophecy. It is not that they could not read the physical written words, but they could not perceive what those words meant, even after reading. So to summarize again, people who cannot perceive the words of vision, meaning prophecies, even after seeing them, are the people who are spiritually blind. Despite the fact that they did not understand the words of prophecy, they were teaching others, but only with words taught by men, with their own interpretations and judgments. And those who have received such teaching would honor God with their lips, but not their hearts, and would be far from him. And they themselves also became blind, as prophesied in the Bible. Then what is the reality of these pastors? Who are these people who drew others away from God, and who could not teach spiritual prophecy correctly? According to Matthew chapter 23, verse 16, they will persecute
Lumitaw man ang triod.
at the time of the first
Kaya
coming.
nga, through the understanding on
From the fact that Jesus
good
called
and
them
bad.
blind guides,
Muna'y corrupted nga pastor.
we can see that they did not teach the
Kasi
words of
katudlo
prophecy
siya sa
correctly,
katudlo
but
sa'yo.
only taught with their own interpretations.
Muna'y yung sa katulad nga.
Furthermore, it is written in Matthew chapter
Para
15,
di
verse
tigulo,
14,
katudlo siya. Ay, ang
"If a
itudlo
blind
sakop na
man
to sa
leads a
katudlo
blind
sa'yo.
man, both will fall into a pit." If this is true, then this blind guide refers to a pastor who is in front of the
Di ba,
congregation
di ba
members.
orthodox
The
yung tudlo
blind
ba?
man who is following behind refers
Hindi
to the
pure.
members of the congregation. Therefore, if one meets a pastor who is not able to give a proper
Blind
teaching of
guys,
the Bible, then he will also fall
blind
into the
sila
pit,
kung kita sa
meaning
Jesus
hell,
Christ.
as Jesus is clearly leading us know. Then what was the reason that they became blind?
Leads by mas sa ulo sila masakit. Kaya
According
sa
to
kabaw ng
Matthew chapter
hindi na.
13, verse 15, it's because their hearts became callous, meaning hard. That is why they
Kanal kami
could not
na sunod
see
na.
what they were supposed to see. So they became blind and deaf spiritually. And the reason that their hearts were calloused was that although they saw Jesus who spoke true words of revelation, they did not recognize him. And they did not accept Jesus' words with their hearts.
Kubala na. Ligas na. Nagahi.
Then what was it that Jesus really desired?
Hindi kasabot.
According to John chapter 9, verse 39 and 41, Jesus came so that the blind will see, and those who see will become blind. However, because they claim to see, their guilt remained. Thus, according to Jesus' words,
Labi ni sa kinaingan
what
ni
Jesus
kuan
desired
balay
was
ko
for
dito ka
people
kuan
to
kay
confess that they were
ano
broken
ba?
because they did not know God's word correctly.
Sabi kay
Then
sabi
they
mo
should
balik ka
respond to
kay
Jesus
Gertie
with
sa
humble
bana
hearts
ka
and
bila
receive
na
the
po
word with
unog
sincerity.
yapon dalain na po kuan balay na po
For such
libog
people,
ni gahama na
Jesus
kuan
would
no
allow the
magkopya
revealed
ka
word to
notebook.
be heard so they could see it at the time of the first coming, but they also take place today at the time of the second coming. According to Revelation chapter 2, verse 5, 7 messengers appeared who worked with Jesus at the time of the end.